Hello, my dear members. I request CA Pramod Hegde, Bengaluru branch chairman, to escort CA Ganesh Kumar BN onto the dais and welcome him with a floral bouquet. CA Ganesh Kumar, he is a CA, CISA and a CS professional. Ganesh Kumar BN is a seasoned chartered accountant with a deep-rooted expertise in technology, particularly in the fields of AI and information security. His areas of expertise include business engineering, security audits, and controls, evaluation, and the integration of advanced technologies into traditional financial processes. Ganesh's unique combination of financial acumen and technological insight has made him a sought-after expert in both the finance as well as the tech industry. He has also authored a book, Simplified Approach to Information Security Controls and Audit. And he has successfully conducted audits on his professional fronts of many MNCs. He has been a regular speaker on several prestigious forums like NASSCOM, Legal AI, and many other. So with this brief introduction, I present before you CA Ganesh Kumar BN. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Srikanth. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this august presence and this gathering to enable me to talk on my favorite passionate subject at the same time which I'm more in love with, which is AI/ML. So thanks for all the members here, at the same time the juries and all of those who have enabled this session. I mean, most of you all have heard already about AI, talking about tools, technologies. Most of them, I think, to be honest, maybe some of them even can start doing an ML modeling as well. I believe that's the amount of knowledge that we are sharing across. But what we are seeing these days is that AI has been, to my knowledge, if I have to say the most abused word. You know why? Guess? For every small thing, we attach an AI and say it's AI enabled, right? You talk of riding, there is riding related AIs. You talk of food ordering, there is food related AI that they talk across. If you talk of space travel, then there is something on AI there. How much of this is actually AI, right? AI has a lot of in-depth features, or should I say, processes, methodologies, and all of these. At the same time, it is used across the spectrum and made it as if to believe that everything is AI, right? So if I have to understand about the elephant in the room, so the elephant in the room is AI/ML. So what exactly is AI/ML? I mean, if we are to understand, let's say, Ferrari, there is something that gets attached to us immediately. If we have to understand about, let's say, America, there is something gets attached. So what exactly when we strike AI/ML, so ML is primarily machine learning, so AI/ML when we talk across, what exactly fits into our mind? Yep. Oh, I would love to have some conversations. So is it a software? Is it a tool? Is it a technology? I don't want to ask all of these questions, okay? I primarily want to understand on what according to you is ML. Yep. Robots? No, that's too much definition oriented ones. If I have to ask you on some of these terms and say, in a more accountant manner, how do you want to treat AI in your books of accounts? I mean, can AI be brought into books of accounts? I'm more talking like a CA rather than an AI guy. So, what exactly am I referring to when I say bringing AI to books? Okay, something differently. Is this going to be our P&L item wherein which AI can become our income source? That means, can it increase our revenues? Okay. Yeah, chartered accountants obviously also look across their revenues, right? Or is it a P&L expense item that we are talking across? That means it's more of subscription to some tools, buy those, so it's an expenditure, or let's say it is investing on some people on that. Is that something like that? I mean, I'm trying to talk AI in a different language. We just have heard of tools and all of these. So how does AI really fit into our books? Or is it going to be an asset? All three? Definitely it should not be a contingent liability. So any of these, so how many of you believe AI is going to propel us? AI is an enabler, AI is a transformer, or is there something different beyond all of this? Being in technology, I believe today I just have to talk some hard facts and truths, especially on the way the transformations that are happening, and mention about the reality where we stand in terms of the AI that is coming across. So on one side, we are talking of the big transformation, digital transformation that is all moving. On the other side, there is also a conjunction point where we are today at. I had been in practice for almost about a decade and a half. I could see the transformation, how it was all moved across. Now, I could see in the past 4 or 5 years, there is a drastic change that is happening beyond what we are talking today. So some of those primary ones are this. Anybody has a clue on what I'm talking across? Continuing our charter. I'll just take you all to a small history. At least that's what I heard, that's what I read about. How do we get this name chartered accountant? Perfect. Pramod mentioned it perfectly. So in the British era, the Queen entered through a charter, and only those who were given by a charter, so it was like a accession, it was like a certification, all of these. So only those who are chartered are called as chartered accountants. Of course, the British era went, we continued the same legacies. Nothing against the name. But for the last 50, 75 years around, we could see that the charter was still on us. When I meant to say charter was still on us, the blessings of the government was all on us. No offense to any government, any political parties or anything. I primarily meant to say the approach towards chartered accountants, how it had been, let's say, 40 years back and how it is now. The social status, the respect, all of these that we demanded or we got it probably 30, 40 years ago, maybe in my father's era, and all of these had started moving in a different direction, right? If I have to make some statement, let's say today when we approach probably some large organizations, we are more than a vendor than anything else. I think that's a hard reality, right? I don't want to sugarcoat. So that's what I meant to say. Let's talk about some hard facts. That's on the business side. On the other side, we are also on the moment where a lot of things that was there as something on a legacy forwarded approaches has started drifting away from us. And if I have to just pick some examples, if you had been senior chartered accountants would definitely agree with me. Probably 20 years back, if you happen to know how many income tax returns that we were filing and how many are there now. We had tax audits at a particular level, the tax audit's gone. And it's moved to a different level. Now you will see half of the tax audits or 70% of the tax audits, so-called, what was happening, it's moved away. The GST audit, which was initially brought in, was taken away. Hardly we are left out with some things that are there. So that's the conjunction point where the charter that was on us was more like a blessing from the government or from the republic, whatever you want to call, has started moving away probably some 15, 18 years back. It has started moving from us. So what has that put us into the fix? The fix is in terms of bombarded by multiple things. What are those things which are getting bombarded? We are talking of ease of doing business, which is good for the business, but not good for the chartered accountants. I might be sounding wrong, but that's the reality. The more and more complexities you have, the only then you would have more of your files, more of your interpretations. I don't know how many of you have recently understood or read about the Bharatiya Nyaya, the code, which is the penal code, which has got changed. It's not just changed, they are also releasing the vernacular languages. You know why am I bringing this? One of the most complex issues that the Supreme Court often quotes is that because of the complexity and the jargonism that is there in English, the more and more interpretations have started. So what was the solution? The solutionization is that let's bring up the laws along with English into vernacular languages. Probably something is told in Kannada, probably it is much easier. Something is told in Tamil or Telugu. It has a lower impact and there are less interpretations and less number of litigations and hence less work to chartered accountants. Another point that we are all seeing is that non-CAs have a level playing field that has occurred to us. GST, anybody can file. Income tax returns, anyone can file. Audits, unless you need a certification, anybody can do. Except for your UDIN, the rest of the things can be handled by anyone else. Isn't that the reality that we are at? On top of all of this that is happening, we have our elephant that is also hitting us. This is the one which unfortunately many of us are not seeing the storm that is coming across. Am I bringing the scary part? No, the answer is no. ML, AI had started long back its journey very earlier. The ML modeling and all of those goes back to, I think, the mathematical models goes back to almost 1980s and much earlier as well. And in the recent years, you see all of these newer models coming across and putting. If I have to just give you a small comparison as to where the, this is a picture that I often show and say, probably about 5 years back or 7 years back, when we were running some image processing algorithms, this was a common case where the false negatives, false positives were tested out. This was about 7 years back, and it has moved on to this, wherein which we have a lot of computer vision enabled AI that is in place, probably in terms of appropriately talking about our areas. So this is an invoice wherein which OCR or even otherwise it has identified transactions automatically and has classified and posted probably also onto the relevant things. If this is not the case, the larger ones that are happening is on the robotics and on the automations that the world is seeing largely. I just want to showcase a small video of NVIDIA, which talks about multiple models that are there, which they have started way back almost about 10, 15 years ago, whenever they had started their journeys, including their GPU enablement and all of these. This is where their journey has been, and probably at the end you will see where the journey is there today. So it started like a fancy dress probably, and you will see the applications that are going crazy in the industry. So this is about robotics and intelligence that are going across. So this is a simulation, it's a manipulator. These are not videos which are for the sake of it, but these are real use cases that are playing. So you will see a demonstration and also a real capability that is being showcased. You know, something on computer visions, drive-in scenarios, applications on farming, automobiles, medical. You might be wondering why am I bringing this up? Any clue? If this can happen, can't they do accounts? Can't they do taxation? I'm serious. This is a reality. This is a reality that we are living in, and if we all still believe that our GSTR 3B, our tax filing is the way forward, probably we are living in a la la land. If this is a capability that is being built and already showcased and available to a larger extent, what is our future in finance, accounting, taxation? It's not as scary as this is. Reason being, I just want to talk also about what is that we have, what the AI do not have as of at least today. One of the most, including myself on different forums that we talk across, is on enabling. We will make transformations. We will change things, propels. We do all of the PR stunts we just mentioned across. But if I have to talk of the realities, what exactly is it making? I don't know. Recently, if you have seen a recent article, one of the biggest giants cut down close to about 42,000 jobs in one company. Yeah, we all read that. Close to about 30 to 40% is cut for AI investments. So the jobs are cut, and it has been replaced by humanoids. It's invested onto AI. If drivers can go jobless with a driverless car, what's that we are looking forward. I want to talk of some capabilities that it is fast approaching, which if we do not look into is going to hit and impact us very much. You know, these are generally our areas of practice that we all work across, okay? And we are very busy with it. Every day you have a client talking, your staff member not available, somebody is on an articleship leave, every other thing that we are juggling across. But if all of a sudden, maybe when I say all of a sudden, maybe in a span of couple of years or another 3-4 years down the line, what if these areas of practice itself is gone away? Is it reality that these can go away? Probably when I say it goes away out of 100% that we do, probably about 90% goes away. You might need about 1 or 2 people to just handle it. What do we do with that? So let me showcase, let's say, if it happens to be our core area of practice of audits, what we all take tons and tons of time to do the vouching, analysis, and all of these, audit tools can crunch within seconds. Load them. The data crunching, anomaly detection, fraud detections are in place. Not just that, you don't have to do it on a post-mortem basis. You can put audit hooks. On a real-time basis, the audits are already being taken place, and the impact of that and the governance related aspects are also automatically taken into considerations. If I have to talk on compliance, automation of invoicing, automation of AP, AR processes are already there, and all that it requires is a small gear shift which will move from where we are to a larger extent. I just want to throw a small example. India has large amount of small and medium enterprises which many of the practitioners and the industry also caters to, which has a decent size in terms of GST and all of these. So what if tomorrow government comes up and says, hey, look, we are going to enable inside the GST portal the banking also, where in which your payments and receipts can happen. Is that complex? I mean, simple. From technology, probably it might take a couple of months or a quarter for them to build, but once it is there, your invoices are captured, your income is captured, your expenditure is there, your payments, your expenditure is all captured there. Probably your net profit and net loss is also captured there. All that you have to do is on a click of a button, your filings are completed. No, this is already in motion. Sorry, here. So this is already in motion. You will see maybe in a year and a half, this is very much live. Your company's audits, that is there. You all know, for example, in the US, the audits are not mandatory to a larger extent, right? The ease of doing business, I think, in some states in the US, like Delaware and all of those, close to about $10 million, you don't have to do an audit. It's just tax returns that you have to do. What if the same rule comes back to India, wherein which even 100 rupee revenue making private limited are today required to file the tax returns and, ROC returns and get an audit done and all of these. These are small moves. These are not bigger moves. These are small moves, but that has a very, very larger impact that is going across. So compliance management is not going to be a big hassle because we have already digitized, right? If you all have known and if you have seen in many of the people who have traveled from abroad, where they come, the era where we live and where the other countries are living are way apart. So we are very digitally active and transform. I would say probably about 10 years of leap India has taken as compared to even to the Americas. What has that enabled? All of your transactional information is already digitized. So today using UPIs, even a street vendor is able to get the credits. Earlier the line of credits was only to the elites and only those who had the tax filings and all of those. So today with the UPI transactions, the complete historical information and the line of credits are coming onto the vendor who is a street level seller. What I'm trying to mention across is one of the key requirements for enabling is digitization, which has already happened. Standardization of data has already happened. Many of these things like accounting, financial reporting, all of these are now a mere transformation that probably, as I mentioned, is a gear shift that it requires. If it happens, most of the jobs or the areas of practices that are there are moving out. Now, what is this? I'm coming back to my question. I just showed some realities. I just want to ask the same question again. Propeller, transformers. Now, how do we deal with this? It's happening, right? So, none of us have any capabilities here to stop this. I just come back to the same question again. If we do not act, this is what we are at. Okay, this is a funny part here. Now, I mean, most of you have seen this. This is from a famous Rocky with Sylvester Stallone. I just want to ask a simple question. Do we want to be at the receiving end or do we have to be at the giving end? It's for us to decide today. Right? Just like in the movie where he just gets beaten up twice, thrice, goes back and comes like a phoenix. Why am I making this honest opinion? Probably I just want to showcase all of these is because we as chartered accountants have gone through a grind, right? We are the toughest course that ever is there in India. Yes? There is no shortcuts for chartered accountants. There is no way that I can get an influence and I become a CA in India, right? We go through exams, articleship. We go through a lot of process. It's a grind that we have gone through, and we are the most toughest and most smartest and the best professionals that you can ever get. Having gone through all of those, today we are at a reality check where this is happening. Should we give it back or should we be at the receiving end? I would say it's good that we are talking about these, mainly because we still have probably about another 3 or 4 years down the line before we get hit rapidly and brutally like this. What do we do? Just being chartered accountants and keeping ourselves with traditional areas of practice is going to move away. So we have to be equipped. So we were talking of enabling ourselves with AI and all of these. Probably this is going to hurt few people, but I just want to make again the statement. We are chartered accountants. I don't want us to become prompt accountants. No harm to any of the tools, but you understand what is meant by a prompt accountant? Any examples? I mean, if you know, engineering has turned into now prompt engineering. I mean, to a larger extent, you have a stream called prompt engineering. That means you don't have to do so much of hard work in understanding the coding and other things. Give it to the GPTs. That will do all of that. If GPT is doing everything, what are we here for? Putting the prompts? If the prompt is that the case, then a 12th pass out person can also do that, right? Correct? What are we built differently? We have gone through that grind, and let's not get into the prompt accounting modes. Yes, there are a lot of tools. See, these tools are very luring. It will tell, okay, you can use this plugin, you can do this, you can do that. All of these are short-term bites that will enable you and keep you defocused of the larger thing that is coming across. The storm is coming probably in the next 3, 4, 5 years down the line, and for you to be defocused, all of these smaller bites are there telling that, hey, look, why don't you use this tool and start working with this tool? I mean, including ourselves. We have built a tool to do complete financial reporting, end-to-end automation, print-ready financials. We do a lot of stuffs, right? What are we doing? At the end reality, we are talking of the practice areas to fade away, wherein which the core things are done by the tools by themselves. So are we talking of humans going into a different mode? I would say no. That's far-fetched. Why? Because let's understand some nuances on AI and ML. Many of you would know, but for the sake of for the audience, I would just give a small brief on what it is, how it works, and how can we change into this era. So AI is primarily simulating the human intelligence. ML has the capabilities with algorithms to start making future predictions and learnings and all of those. So it goes beyond with this, from AI to ML to DL, that is deep learning, and generative AI and all of these stuffs. But what we need to start doing across is understand the AI mechanism. Let's not be drifted away by the tools and the capabilities that many of these come across. Rather than let's be the AIpreneurs, where we start giving it out, where we start building it out. Building does not mean we have to build probably some models or probably some technologies. No, that's not what we are. If you understand the mechanism on how AI works, these are some of the core areas that any AI requires. It is not that easier to crack. That's why I mentioned it's about another 4, 5 years down the line that is there. So every problem needs to be defined. The data needs to be collected. You need to prepare the data. You need to make sure that the models are selected. There has to be a lot of data that gets fed. Selection of a right model is also most important aspect. Probably a classification model, or let's say on a random forest will apply to a Naives-based model will not work for you. So you will have to select the right model and apply a lot of data and start training it. Once you start training it, then it starts giving you out some results, and those results are to be validated and refined and again made into further activities. So where do we pitch in this process, right? We know the problem statements much better than any other computing things, right? We have a huge amount of data collections, which I'm not just talking about what is residing in the computer systems, but predominantly we are talking of the intelligence that we have gathered over years in terms of understanding the client relationships, understanding the nuances, understanding the scenarios, which today the models are still far away. It can do audits for 14 hours automatically, continuously, and throw out results. Probably it will not understand the client problem. There is a use case that he or she or the organization is looking at. We as humans have larger game to play in that. And the best part, which AI/ML also has, is ethical issues and the ownership issues. Ethical issues, when I talk across, who owns these models? And are these models and AI bots or AI intelligence tools automatically trained? No. There is always a human behind these. And whatever the human thinks as right is fed to these systems. Have you ever tried to poke GPT? When I say poke GPT, have you asked radical questions? Have you asked tangential questions to it? You know what the answer is? It says, I have not been told by my programmers to talk about it. I mean, it has its own language to tell, but ideally it says that, let's not talk about it. Who defines these right and wrongs? Today we are actually using it. So that's the worst part, I would say, not even the bad part, the worst part. Let's say I believe in a particular theory on a way where a statistical model should function, whereas the GPT says, no, that's wrong. That's not how it is. Why? It has become, because it has been loaded by tons and tons with the trained models to perform in a particular manner. So I'm talking about vested interests, vested capitalisms that are driving the ML AI things. For a moment, let's go back to probably about a year back. I'm not sure. The Russian and Ukraine war broke out, right? There was one major thing that happened, that is SWIFT got disabled. Russia didn't have the SWIFT access. You remember that? Who owned the SWIFT? The American. So tomorrow, if we are all going back and getting back onto the dependency on some models which are driven by larger corporations, and for a moment they shut those models' accessibility. Of course, you will have nation-to-nation, bilateral agreements, all of these are there. But one moment, one leader thinks, enough is enough, I will not talk to you anymore. What happens to that? So there are a lot of issues in AI we are talking across on ethical issues. That means who defines these rules to these models, and what is the data sets that get trained onto these models, and who owns these models. So I would urge, there are elite council members and all of these here, request, please start putting across on developing our own models, if that is the case, and if that is a capability that we can work across. It might take years together, but still great. Let's not be dependent on LLMs, which are driven out, and probably I would say let's start looking on building Bharat ka LLMs and all of these, or any of the models that are there, which can propel and enable and be usable inside the country as well. So these are some of the ethical issues that are there. So lastly, I'm coming on to the AI. So what are we moving to? So if AI needs to step in and ML needs to kick in and make a lot of impact, it needs lot of things to happen, which we can be propelling and which we can be part of. Like, for example, on making sure that digitization is there, data standardizations which are far away. Digitization has already taken place, so standardization is something which is happening over the go. Interoperability issues are there, so that all is going to take place probably another a year or two on major fronts. How do we structure things and how it keeps learning? All of these are on the go. Let's start applying the core thing that we have, that is the financial, regulatory, and compliance knowledge that we have collectively collected over probably about 100 years or whatever that is available to us, and start building things which are unforeseen. Let's start making probably products for the country, products for the global levels, including some of these that I've talked across. How can we make intelligent systems? All of these are arising and coming out of our own intelligent domains. So these are not something new. Say, for example, real-time financial dashboards, which also can do what-if analysis along with the data that are, let's say, something which is with the market trends that are there. Probably there could be enough products already, but still we are talking of which can do wonders in terms of our own capabilities that are there. Let's say modelings, risk modelings, predictions that are there. So all of these capabilities can be built by us. Let's start looking at these bigger pictures, at the same time making sure that the future of ours is more robust. I was just showcasing a small CFO oversight. So this is a real-time one. I'm not, for the paucity of time, I'm not doing it here. So it's a real-time dashboard where you can do all of this. So this automation is already there. This, I would say, probably about 10 years old technology that we are talking across. So real-time CFO dashboards are already there. So now today we are talking of what-if scenarios, conditional scenarios, and all of these with the data insights that can keep coming across. I end up with this last one, which talks of, do we want to be at the receiving end or at the giving end? I hope we will be the ones who will be winning the medal and continue winning the medals. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I would be open for questions if I have a couple of minutes. Yeah. Sorry, sir. I've showcased some realities. If that is false, I would be happy to correct myself. Sure. I'll just share it with the branch. Anyone can take it forward. I mean, any of you feel that this is wrong, please correct me, because some of these are facts that we have gathered over years, understood what is happening across the world, and if it is wrong, I'll be happy to correct myself. Please, sir.
Thank you so much. It was very wonderful. Grateful. It was a nice presentation. I was reading a report by foreign company, and they have identified and listed a lot of countries in terms of what is the private investment which is going in AI, country by country. And like you, I'm very pro Bharat, so I want my country to be on the top, but I was very unhappy that our country was at 8th or 9th number. When our government talks about AI, a lot of things are happening over talks, but in terms of real tangible outputs, very difficult to see what is the output. So when I see that, US and China were on top of it.
True.
So the private investment to AI is happening too much in US and China. That's why they're advanced in terms of what they can cater to, build a product and offer to the world. But we are still lagging behind.
The next wars are going to be on this. That's what probably, if it ever happens, I hope it doesn't happen. Probably either biological or anything on technology is what's going to happen across.
Yeah. So my question to you, Ganesh ji, is that while you have shown a picture which is an eye-opener rather, I would say. It should be an eye-opener for every CA who is here and who must be watching it later or seeing it later. What do you see, because individually CA firms are there, small and medium, large. They already have a competition with big fours. And then now with big players putting a lot of capital and making rapid changes and of course offering as a solution to others, even understanding and using ChatGPT for our daily use is not happening. Where we are going to make an impact as a chartered accountant is the question.
Sure. Thank you. I might not be able to talk at a unifying the whole system level, but I also actually gathered some small statistics even during our earlier events that I saw that out of our overall number of firms and practitioners that are there, I believe close to about 50 to 60% are individual practitioners that are there. Individual proprietary businesses are the biggest ones, close to about 70% that are there. The only way that I see is there has to be a motion where probably 10 or 20 or 30 chartered accountants put their things aside, because let's talk like realities. Why do we not make larger firms? We are talking of big fours, we are talking of all of these. We are happy to be big four, big eight, big hundreds, whatever that is the case. Why aren't we able to collaborate and work together. All that we have to do is put our whatever that aside and say, let's sit here for a reason and a mission. If that happens, probably that's just an ignition, probably with 10, 20, 30 chartered accountants coming into the forums. That is easily possible. On small note, what is that the larger firms have and what the smaller practitioners do not have is the smaller practitioners has to find a client, convince the client, work with the article or the staff member to get the work done, make sure if they are not there, do the same thing again by himself or herself, do the delivery on time, that is, make sure that whatever that you have promised on the scope of the work, do it on time, do the invoicing by himself or herself, call them up for collections. Is this not the reality? Call them up for collections, have bad debts in our books. Why? It's just that because we are good for doing one-man shows, right? We feel that probably, you know, if we run it by ourselves, it's better. No, that's not the case. All across the history, if we have to win something, it has to be a collective effort. Why have been larger firms making an impact? It's because probably one of the partners takes care of HR, that is hiring activities. One looks after probably client delivery. One looks after the office administration. Somebody is taking care of technology transformation. Somebody is taking care of probably basic floor management. Somebody is on operations. Somebody is on client delivery. So there is distribution of work that happens, and hence they are able to deliver larger. In our cases, we want to do everything on one level. Probably that's one of the reasons that we are not able to achieve. If we can gather ourselves and put into one shape, then there is nothing beyond for us to crack. Yes, sir.
Ganesh, today my name is Sanjay.
Say hi.
Today in the morning, we were told that AI is a new era that you're being introduced to, and it's the new thing which is coming in. You guys are not using it. Start using it, correct? So that's what we were told in the morning.
Probably have I shifted the gears and I've changed something the topic altogether?
And now I'm hearing is this guy is a disruptor. So this is going to take away your stuff, and be wary of that, and be cautious is what I'm hearing from your session, correct? And you got to change the way you look at the profession at large, correct?
Perfect.
So what is your advice as to where we should be trending? Should we be adapting it? Should we be defending it? Or should we
No, you can't defend it. No, none of us can defend it. No, how?
So what is left for us?
No, if we adopt, I mean, we should definitely adopt. I'm not in for non-adoption, right? If you do not adopt, you will be away from the river.
So where do you see the light actually? Let me put it there.
So the light is thinking for the next 5 years, not for tomorrow. So
That's what
I mean,
I said. There's a light, but where do we look for the light?
no, I'll just put it way. So if we go back to our you know, the era where we were doing our exams or articleship, probably
exams, yeah.
when we started. So we put our you know, foundation application and said we were preparing for the final. You know, this is a 5-year journey, right? 3 years or 2 years articleship. All of those, we planned then, right? Today we are not even investing our times in learning. We are not even investing our times in taking newer things to learn,
Correct.
right? So what I would say probably is you know, adopt. While you're adopting, making sure that how can you contribute in those adoptions, wherein which you are not taken away. Let's say I was just showcasing let's say on how do I do a complete transformation of AP or accounts payable process. Let's say I'll just take as an example. Yeah. I can just build, I can use probably some tools and deliver to the client, right? And say, hey, look, AP was earlier happening on the mode of, you know, your regular PDF files sent to that person, it is going to him, approvals, all of those. Now I'll probably use Zapier and connect the apps, and automatically every flow is achieved. What I'm trying to come back and say is like, we have done enough of services, can we start building products?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so that's, we're talking about going into the intelligence area or IP development.
Right? No harm, but what is a flagship product that we can talk to the global level and say this is built out of India? Huh?
UPI, yeah, that's a good example. UPI. And people are wanting it now outside.
One,
Yeah.
now after 75 years, now putting it to the global giants that are there, probably every month you will see a global product coming out and stepping into the multiple countries. Are just perspectives of being service oriented to shift over towards building, probably if I have to talk in accounting terms, let's build capital assets.
Right. So understand, answer is that we embrace it and understand and be aware, correct?
Build. If you don't build, you will be taken away.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
So last one question. Sorry, there is shortage of time. So last one question. Yeah.
Definitely.
Right.
Collaborate.
When you talk about, say, choosing the model, you said some forest, jungle and all, which we don't
No,
understand.
we don't
right?
have to
It's-
understand. We have to collaborate. That's what I'm trying to come across.
Okay,
So we know the problem statements better than anyone else that are there. That's what I even talked to one of my students or friends. Who knows businesses better than a chartered accountant in India? You know retail, you know FMCG, you know on trading, you know on steel business, you name it, you know it, because you have had a plethora of clients that are there and you know every nuts and bolts. You have the biggest knowledge base, that is the knowledge of the business. Right? Not everyone has these capabilities. So people from big B schools do not have this mainly because they do not have a practical exposure, but we have that practical exposure. You would have heard a client telling what is their issue in their production cycle. They would have told you about their hiring problems. So you know a plethora of problem statements, which is one of the biggest assets that we have. So what we have to do is bring down the problem statement, identify what is the bigger cause that we can solve, and start collaborating with like-minded people and start building towards it.
Yeah. Since this is a problem which we know, and I think we have to make future ready. So do you think some certain part of the things has to be picked up and be part of the curriculum so that the qualifying CAs, they are more future ready?
Perfect. Yes, very much need of that. I was teaching information security, MICS, and all of these way back in 2010-9 eras. My humble request to the institute members and the council members is, please bring on the real-time syllabus so that it is very much fed to the students and it is helpful. My only request is because many a times, at least when I studied, I'm not complaining now, when I studied, I was studying in 2006-07 and the technology was of 1995. Right? I was studying even floppy disks, how it operates when probably USBs were all the mode. So we definitely need something on this. And unfortunately, we chartered accountants shying away from technology is something which is very unfortunate. I believe even syllabuses have made this optional. So technology is not coding. There are a lot of people to code. Dayaneva sir was telling, there are a lot of people to code. You don't need people to code. We have the biggest knowledge base, that is the business knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CA Ganesh. So the topic was chartered accountants to AIpreneurs. So I think majority of the points that he has covered is pointing towards it. So there are very few CAs whom I know who can code, sit and code, right? So CA Ganesh is one among those. So can we have a round of applause for that, please? So when he speaks about technology, he has the complete hold of the technology. So it was a really great session. I request CA VM Tuppat, Treasurer of Bangalore branch, to come on the dais to hand over a memento to the speaker.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So members, now we are going to have a small tea break session for 15 minutes. So we'll reassemble.